Some of the bigger channels who do go through this stuff but don't know Dune particularly well have decided to weigh in. So originally I was going to set up to review Redlettermedia. I'm still going to do that, but their review was a little curious. They went back and forth between the 1984 and 2021 versions of Dune, but they ended up discussing the Lynch version quite a lot. I have no issue with that, but that was a little uneven in terms of discussion. But luckily, we have the EFAP, which apparently has devoted about 5 hours or so to Dune. And I want to forewarn, this is basically me responding to a bite-sized portion of the discussion, and we'll be going with the EFAP chronologically as they discuss Dune. And they didn't have an issue for the most part with a lot of the beginning portions of the movie, but apparently the hunter-seeker portion really puzzled them. So if you're totally new to Dune, let me just go through that quickly. The hunter-seeker is a device you can use for assassination, but it works a little weirdly that you need somebody to remote control the device. But they're puzzled, like, wait, how does this work exactly? So we'll hear their supposed issue with the hunter-seeker and then respond.
Right. A lot of people saying that's not how it works, though. It's like, so this is going to be really awkward, chat. But if you're drawing that from the book, bye-bye.
Don't.
Like, the book is flushed down the toilet, I'm afraid.
So we can't talk about that.
I feel like if this is the only content for Dune that exists at all, you'd all be saying, like, yeah, it looks like it's remote-controlled, I guess. I don't know why we would conclude anything else. Because I don't remember any dialogue saying that, too. So I was like, how the fuck did it screw up so badly? Like, what was the view on the hunter-killer that it could look around the room, but it couldn't see Paul properly? It's like, okay. And Paul's moving, by the way. Like, people are saying it detects movement.
For a little bit, yeah.
It breaks through the wall, and by the way, it's pretty hard to see and hear, but he does catch on. Luckily, the show wasn't too loud, but yeah, he's standing still while he just watches it move across the room, and then he moves like very overtly to get inside the TV show thing to get covered by the thing, which you'd have to agree, everybody, of all the frames to be paused on, that's a pretty fucking lucky one.
Yeah.
Otherwise he'd be in a bit of trouble.
But all of that movement that he does, that should have been more than enough for it to stab him. Maybe they know, they do seem to call it, they all call it hunter killer, so they must know what this device does.
He knows what it is, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough.
But if you're going to argue it's based solely on movement, he moves enough for it to see him.
Yeah, I don't know why it would. I don't know why it would stop there. Like if it has a
unless it is
target.
A really subtle piece of technology that only, like, if you walk slowly enough, it won't notice. But that just seems like a crap thing to use. Like, I don't know.
You can just crush it in your hand anyways. It's probably not.
Well, the basic gist here is they're missing that the hunter-seeker has a camera attached. So the remote control used by the person can give you a rough location of what you should be targeting. So whoever the assassin is knows where Paul's bedroom is. The hunter-seeker goes to the bedroom, but it still can't detect Paul exactly. Now they bring up that Paul moves a little bit. Again, it's the camera. Camera may be still too fuzzy. You have to do enough movement for the remote controller to know who it is and attack that person. The housekeeper comes in. He moves way too much. So the hunter-seeker assumes, oh, that's the target. They go after her, but Paul saves her. But Paul is much better trained, so it's sort of hard for the hunter-seeker to tell if Paul has moved enough to distinguish him from the other objects in the room. I'm not going to go too in-depth on this, but essentially this is still a problem today because, and again, I want to stress that I'm not a big fan of the EFAP. I only like a few of their discussions. I have a lot of issues with how Mauler does things, but we're going to put that aside. I do find it a little embarrassing that this thing has gone on now for several years. Still don't understand how cameras work in film. The basic gist here is, yes, you can have digital cameras. Digital cameras can provide you a lot of information. There are limits. So in principle, yes, you can take something like an iPhone that's advanced and do a whole film on it, but you're going to notice certain things. Like images are too fuzzy, certain things are not sharp, etc., etc. So without going too much into Christopher Nolan territory, you want to use actual film because film can sort of grab things in terms of colors, in terms of shapes and sizes. This is really an issue of the camera technology. And I think they think that this is far into the future and that technology is always advanced. It's not. the technology is still in a kind of crude state. And I would assume Frank Herbert is just assuming camera technology has not advanced that much. These cameras are basically very crude. They are, quote, advanced, but not advanced enough. The assassin is still going to have a lot of questions about, well, did the X thing that moved, is that the target? Unclear. Again, I think they just lazily assumed, well, they're far into the future. This is like Star Trek or Star Wars. It's not like Star Trek or Star Wars. They just weren't paying attention. But again, a lot of people have even read the books and allegedly reviewed Dune. They keep noting this, saying it's the year 10,000 something. But they don't realize it's not our calendar. It's their calendar, and we have the Butlerian Jihad to consider. But to be fair, the Butlerian Jihad was not detailed by Denis. However, other things were detailed. The Hunter-Seeker thing is not really much of an issue. Once you understand how camera technology works, you're like, oh, okay, the camera was just too crude to pick up Paul. But Paul being able to counteract it, that is, yeah, that's a more legitimate issue because it's like, well, okay, we can assume he's very well trained. But in this specific thing, this is really due to fear and the Mentat training. And this goes back to the missing scene problem, which I've already highlighted in several other videos. But in terms of the lore, it's not a big deal. Again, it seems a little weird if you're not used to the Dune mythology. I do think legitimately they did enough in the opening scenes to let you know this isn't that kind of sci-fi future. And if you paid attention, and Mauler says he saw this 4 times, they do lay out this isn't a kind of Star Trek future. Again, I think it's the expectations the audience is going to have. Well, if this works and this works, why doesn't this work? The short answer is the Butlerian Jihad. That they don't detail, but then he gives you enough clues that you can sort of pick it up and be like, oh, I would add in closing that the Lynch version, as well as the sci-fi version, do make it more explicit that Paul countering the Hunter-Seeker plays into the prophecy. That I think the Denis Villeneuve version, as far as I can remember from memory, did not really do. It should have added to the prophecy, so you can maybe criticize them for not emphasizing that enough, but again, he's going to have 2 movies to do his version of Dune, so we're going to have to wait and see. This is kind of typical of the EFAP. They seize on a supposed, oh, this is a flaw. It's not a flaw. It's not a flaw at all. They just paid attention. They would have picked up other clues, but this is how they make money. Saying, oh, they have a serious flaw in the script. They have a serious flaw in the direction. You've got to give us a super chat so we can examine the flaw. And then you look carefully yourself. It's not a flaw. You just weren't paying attention. But a lot of better reviewers have also made these mistakes. So I don't know. I guess this is like a groupthink problem. They just made weird decisions in terms of cutting out certain scenes. It's fine. There's no major problem. But so far, so good. The EFAP discussion is not too bad. But if this is their first major problem, I'm going to be probably moaning and groaning that they're complaining about not particularly big issues. But we'll wait and see. Thanks for listening.